Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Unlocked Tuesday live stream. I am Jessie Lang. If you guys don't know me, if you're new here, I actually help people buy rental properties. So a lot of our students are buying 1 to 3 rentals per month on autopilot. That is what I do. It's a great business to be in. So this session today it's called an Ask Me Anything. And we haven't done one in a while, so we're definitely overdue to answer lots of your questions. So whether you are watching on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, wherever you're watching, we can see all of your questions. So I have with me here Miss Lizzie, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I am Lizzie Ross. I am an investor here in Columbus, Ohio, and I'm also the student success manager for the Unlock team. So I really just try to keep the wheels a turning.
Yeah, keeps the wheels on. I teach the real estate, and Lizzie basically runs everything else.
I'm actually Jessie's boss.
Yeah, she's my boss. It worked out well, honestly. I just show up and teach about real estate. So we're here to answer any and all questions that you have. We already have some coming through in the chat. We have some in the Facebook group. So Lizzie's going to pull some of those up. She has the world's loudest keyboard.
Sorry, everyone. Is it loud on this live stream?
Yeah, we can definitely hear it.
Terribly sorry.
Okay. So let's hop in. And like I said, we'll probably be here 20 minutes, half an hour or so, as long as you have questions. So if whatever you got, throw them in the chat. First, we have up from Douglas is asking, what's the best way to approach 100% BRRRR financing? So that's a great question. Ooh, more questions too. Okay. The best way to approach 100% financing for BRRRR is one of two things. So if you are going with private money lending, that is a friend, a family member, an individual who maybe has HELOC, 401k, just cash in the bank that isn't really doing a lot, you can offer them a better return than what their money's getting. It is backed by a tangible asset. You have a mortgage, a promissory note, just as if they were acting like the bank. Private lending is a really good way to get 100% of your project covered. Most private lenders, they're not necessarily investors themselves. So their goal is just to maximize what they can lend to you so that they can make the most money. So when I do private lending, I almost always get 100% of not just the purchase price, but also the rehab covered. And then once you get through the renovation, you get it rented, you are taking it to your long-term, conventional DSCR lender, they're going to give you 75% of that new appraised value. And so as long as that 75% of the new appraised value is more than the amount that you borrowed, then you can get your new loan, pay off your private money lender, and own this deal with none of your own money in your pocket.
Crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. Now, sometimes 75% of the new appraised value is not enough to pay off your initial lender, especially if you borrowed 100%. So you may actually have to end up bringing some money to closing. Like, I've paid before $10,000 in order to close. It's so because I had to pay my lender back more than what I was borrowing on the refi.
Yeah. So it's always good to have your own skin in the game.
Yeah, you definitely want something. Now, it depends where you're investing. Here in Columbus, we're leaving money in most deals, like most investors are. It is a top tier real estate market. There's competition. We have a lot of students who are buying in, Toledo or Dayton or Newark, or, Lizzie's starting to branch into Logan County. And those smaller, less competition, you actually have a chance of truly doing a perfect BRRRR where you're pulling money out of the deal, not only paying your lender back, but also pulling money out. So my best thing would be go with private money.
I guess personally, spawning off of that or, going off that, what would you say is a good way to make connections with private money lenders?
Ooh, that's a good question. So like I kind of said initially, is most of these are going to be people in your personal network, friends, family, someone who's maybe had a 20, 30-year career and they've been able to save up money and have compounded interest, and they may have a couple $100K or even $100K that is kind of just sitting on the sidelines and not doing much. So that would be a great thing. Networking in like investor groups and with other investors. We actually will lend to students. So I do quite a bit of private lending, and our Rentals Made Easy program. If someone brings me a good deal and we have funds available, I lend on it as an investor myself. So it's mostly your friends and personal network, but also absolutely could be investors. Just know, as investors, we kind of know a little bit more, and my expectations are a little bit higher than maybe someone who is, friends, family.
Doesn't know any better.
Yeah. And we're not trying to take advantage of anyone, but like they may not know about points, or they may not know about like, monthly payments or anything like that. So
right.
Those are just things I don't necessarily mention if they don't come up.
Totally hear that.
Okay, let us know if that was helpful. All right. Now we have Sean saying, who do I use for HECM? I'm not going to lie. I don't know what the HECM. Yeah, Lizzie, what is that?
Home equity conversion mortgages. It's a type of reverse mortgage that is insured by the FHA, which allows for the U.S. Department of Housing.
Is it just a reverse mortgage?
It sounds like it.
Okay. I have not heard it called this. Reverse mortgages are mostly for old people, so that is not you have to have a lot of equity in your house already. Like you need to basically own the home free and clear, and then they pay you every month. So that is not something that I could speak to in our strategy. But if you can give me more context about how you're thinking about using it in the chat, I'm happy to answer. All right. We have, okay, yeah, Sean says it's a type of reverse mortgage. So again, not something that I have used. I have private and hard money, out the hoo-ha. So I've never had to explore anything like that. And neither have our students. So I think that's probably more niche than you're maybe needing to do. Like,
right.
I would probably just stick to mainstream stuff.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think, again, going back to like expanding into how you're trying to use it, and then there might be a better strategy.
Yeah. So, okay. So you need about 66% equity. If I had 66% equity on a house, I would just get a HELOC. I would just get a HELOC. They'll usually go up to 90% on your personal residence, and then take that 20, 30, 40, 50K, and you're not paying on it unless the money's being used. So whereas a reverse mortgage, like, your equity goes down every single month because they're giving you money against your house, whether you're using it or not. So I would rather do a HELOC with a lump sum if I had 66% equity personally. Yeah. Okay. So sorry, back to this one. How do you scale after your first property money-wise? And that is, it's a great question. Is the thought that like you're putting 20% down, you need to wait to save up more money? Because that's not my strategy. My strategy is obviously the BRRRR method. You guys have heard me talk about this for a long time. Even if I am leaving money in the deal, it still is coming back. It's coming down to maybe 10% down, maybe 5% down versus 20% down. So I can, if I'm buying a house that's worth $200,000 once it's fixed up, I'm using the BRRRR method. Maybe I'm leaving 10K in that deal. If I was buying that turnkey, I would be leaving 40K in that deal, which is 20%. So I can do 4 BRRRRs with the same amount of capital. I can do 1 turnkey. That same 40K is going to get me 4 properties here and 1 over here. So I scale by leaving as little money in the deal as possible. Am I reading that right?
That's how I read it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So my goal is keep as little money in the deal as possible. And also I will say, whatever you do in the real estate world, I know we all want the mailbox money. We all want passive income. It doesn't matter, y'all. You still need some sort of active income. If you have a W-2, like a high paying W-2, save X percent per paycheck to put towards real estate. If you're full-time real estate, like I am, I still have income. I still have income streams. I do private lending. I have an education platform. I teach other people how to do this. I wholesale. I flip. I still have active income, and because the rentals just aren't enough to live on. So regardless of how much money you're putting down, you're still going to need some money coming in. So that's another thing. Like the faster you can have that money coming in, the faster you can scale. Cool.
For sure.
What other questions we got? Okay.
Gaming pod, yeah.
Yeah. Can you use business credit cards for any personal expense to help rack up points? So the answer on paper, the answer is yes. Yes, you can. The banks don't, no one's checking where you're spending money. So you can get a business card, you can put something personal on it. I would, that's going to be more, it's going to be more for your CPA to follow up with you about. But if you're paying yourself back and you have, a debit and a credit on your P&L, profit and loss, like if you're going to have both of those that offset each other, no one's coming after you. But if you're only going out and buying a vacation on your business account, your CPA is going to be like, hey, how do you justify buying a vacation on your business account? But you can buy it on the credit card and pay yourself back, and then no one really is the wiser.
Nice.
Yeah. That would be really important if you're like trying to hit a sign-up bonus. That would be really kind of the use case there is, I actually have paid for a cruise on a business card, but I paid myself back right away. And so, the money went in, the money went out. It was the exact same dollar amount. So they just wash each other out in my financials.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, I thought I saw some questions on Facebook.
We have some let me see here. Dan asked, what is the cheapest way to buy next rental, which I'm kind of plays off of the question you answered earlier, but maybe you could expand a little bit more.
Yeah. So Dan, if you are cool with like house hacking, that's going to be flat out like really the cheapest way to do it is buy a 2-unit, buy 3, 4-unit. Above 4, you start getting into financing types that wouldn't work for an owner occupant. So really 4 units and under, and move into one of them and then rent out the other 3. So if it's your first purchase, that's going to be, FHA, 3.5% down, really very little money out of pocket for what you're getting. Then you have 3 rentals right off the bat on a 4-unit. Now, the downside is most multi-units are a little 2-bed, 1-bath, or maybe you can find some 3 beds, but here, at least in Central Ohio, that's like pretty uncommon. So can you live in a 2-bedroom? Are you okay sharing walls? Maybe you don't have a backyard. That's how I got started though, was house hacking, and it was fantastic. You end up if you're going to do it multiple times, you end up moving a bunch, but if you ask me the absolute cheapest way to get into some rental properties, I would say house hacking. Then outside of that is BRRRR method in a market that you're guaranteed to pull all your money out on the refi, or just find, there are fewer, but there are still perfect BRRRRs even here in Central Ohio. They do exist, but they're kind of few and far between. So.
Nice. Let me see. We had some people text in some questions.
Ooh,
great. That's new. How do you decide when to self-manage versus outsource?
Ooh, okay. Self-manage versus outsource. The answer is always self-manage.
She's not biased at all.
The answer is I already made your decision for you. No. Okay. So there are some cases where property management just may be the right fit. It just may. We actually have inside of Rentals Made Easy, we have a property manager coming on inside the community tomorrow. And we're going to actually talk about this exact thing, because I swear I swear by self-management. I teach people how to put the systems in place. It is not nearly as hard as you think it is. And I found, because I did have property management in years past, and I found that I was spending just as much time managing the manager than if I just did it myself. So I have moved away from it. I really think everyone should do it themselves. You're going to get the best results. No one's ever going to care like you do. But there are some situations where it's maybe just not a good fit. What my answer is not if you are remote. Just because you're remote doesn't mean you have to put property management in place. Like actually at all. We have tons of students who are investing themselves and managing themselves, and they're in a different market. You need a good team, good boots on the ground, and a good software system. You're good. Lizzie, what can you think of? When would someone even need property management?
I know there have been some folks who like internationally they have to have a property manager because of like the way their visa is set up.
Okay.
That's like they have to.
Yeah. Pretty niche.
Really the people that I have talked to that like actively need a property manager is like they want to be as literally hands off as possible. Yeah. And they have like a lot. They're not doing this for the cash flow, so they don't care about the money that's coming in.
Yeah. And it's not even the 10% that a property manager takes. Like it is that they mark up the maintenance and they mark up all the materials. And like I found, so I had property management in place on like half of my portfolio years back. I was getting a bill instead of a check. They would
and you had like no idea.
I was like, I'm sorry, excuse me, what? Not only am I not getting money, but I owe you money? How is that possible? And like, okay, here's just one example. And this is, I truly believe that there's a huge conflict of interest just in property management in general. And think about most of the property management companies are going to have a threshold of a dollar amount that they don't need your approval to do that project. Like if something needs done, they don't need to ask you about it, right? And so what was happening is I was getting multiple requests that I never heard about because they were right under the threshold of what it cost. And I would get like multiple per property per month. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, and it's like $400 or whatever. So all of a sudden, instead of me getting my $300 or $400, I have multiple $300 bills. And so now I actually owe them money. And the conflict is I'm going to troubleshoot. If a toilet is not working, we're going to troubleshoot it. They're just going to replace it. Same with the hot water tank. Like the amount of troubleshooting that we do in our like maintenance side of the business it's so important. And I find that for us, the manager just went straight to, replace it. Like basically it's not, the mindset's like, it's not my money. Just fix it, replace it. Let's keep moving. We have hundreds of units to deal with. I'm not going to sit here and troubleshoot this thing. Like just replace it and move on. And so I did not care for that.
Yeah, nobody's going to care for your asset like you do.
Yeah, no one's going to care and no one's going to like put in the effort. So there are definitely ways, like if you're thinking, hey, I really want to do this, I want to self-manage, but I just don't know what to do. Like I literally teach people this exactly step by step. And it's like my entire business just plugged into your business. So,
yeah. Miss Maria Moran has a couple questions on Instagram. Ooh, okay. They kind of coincide, so I'll ask them together. Okay. When you buy a property, are you buying it under your personal name or under your LLC? And if you do it under your LLC, do you have a separate entity to run the property management of your business?
Yes, that's a good question. So if you are, if you're buying anything, it needs to be in an LLC. Period, flat out. It's silly to do anything in your personal name. Just basic asset protection. Something goes wrong, all of a sudden now your personal home, your cars, everything is at risk. And you think, oh, well, nothing's going to go wrong. Like it does. It does. I have, made mistakes in the past that ended up, not in a lawsuit or anything, but in a settlement just settle. It's just not, it was, I say a mistake we made. It wasn't even really a mistake. It was like something was overlooked, which happens. It's human. And so I'm just being perfectly honest. Something is going to happen. If you do this for any length of time at any scale, something is going to happen. So why would you put your personal, assets at risk? So
well, many lenders will only lend if you have an LLC. Like I know the lender we used, they will only, you had to have a business entity.
Yep. If you're using private money, like a lot of people like that, they're probably, the lenders there aren't checking. But if you're using hard money lender conventional, like it's got to be in an LLC. And you will still sign the loan as like personally insuring the loan. It's not like you can just walk away from the LLC and be done forever, but that's only with the lender. That's not like in case of protecting your asset. So yeah. And then do we have one for for property management separate? I wish I had set it up like this a long time ago. It's actually on my like short list of things to do. But if you are starting from the beginning, I would have a holding entity and then a management entity.
What's the reasoning behind that?
It just helps separate. It makes your accounting more complicated for sure, because some things go to the property management, like the mortgage is paid from the entity that holds the asset. The maintenance is paid from the entity that manages the asset. You have a property management agreement between the two. So it is more complicated, but it's another layer of asset protection, because if your management company messes up, then it's not the same entity as who's holding the property.
Heard.
Yeah.
Cool.
So thank you, Miss Maria, for your question. What else we got? These are good ones. Y'all are busy today.
This is a juicy one.
Okay.
What is a deal that you completely messed up, and how would you do it differently?
Where do I begin? I made many a mistake. Okay, Lizzie, you pick. Do I go with escrow holdback, or do I go with SWAT team?
I'm going to say escrow holdback, and if anybody wants to hear the SWAT team, they can ask in the comments.
Yeah, so my escrow holdback, this is one of my bigger mistakes.
How long ago was it?
Oh, good question. I was still wholesaling, so prior to 2022.
Okay.
So say 2021-ish, 4 years ago, 4 years ago. We had a property under contract that it needed work, right? That's what we buy. It needs work. I was keeping it myself. We weren't wholesaling it. I was going to take this one down. And we got title done, got the contract signed, title done. And we do what's called an escrow holdback in the case where the seller of the property needs the proceeds of the sale in order to move. It's actually super common. A lot of people, they maybe don't have the moving expense. So they actually need the proceeds from the sale. Sorry, my dog is back here. I know you can't really see him and something's moving. Yeah.
Pickles.
Yeah. So this is super common. We do it all the time. Typically, title will hold back like $5,000-$7,000, and we give the seller 2 weeks to move out. And as soon as they move out, then the rest of the money is released. Well, title missed the holdback. So the sellers received 100% of the proceeds without the holdback, and they proceeded to live their life for the next 2 weeks. And then it was time for them to move out, and they're like, hey, where's our $5,000? And I went to title, and I was like, hey, they're moving out on this date. Like, let's coordinate the remaining money, whatever. They come back and they're like, oh no, we actually already gave them the remaining money. That's not a big deal. I mean, it's not great, but any normal sane person, we'd show them the numbers and be like, hey, you already got the money. So sorry, but you did already receive it. Like, we're not holding we're not taking your money. Like, you just got it too soon. And they were like, well, we don't have the money to move. I'm like, we just gave you $60,000.
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, you got $60,000. What do you mean you don't have the money to move? They refused to move. because they weren't getting their holdback, which they did get. They just got it early. They refused to move. They trashed the entire house. They punched holes all in the walls. They tore the cabinets down. It went all the way to an eviction. It went all the way to a set out. We had to put all their stuff out on the front lawn. They refused to leave, all because this holdback was missed. So my lesson in all this is read your freaking HUD statement, know your contract, and do not assume that title is going to get every single detail. You are the owner. You are responsible for whatever happens. And so my last set of eyes, I didn't catch it. Title didn't catch it. And I ended up losing like 10K.
Wild.
Yeah. I think it was like partially the people also, because like
that's terrible.
Would have been like, oh man, oh shoot. Okay. We thought we were going to have it, but like, we'll figure it out. And they just were like, no, we're trashing it.
Also, it takes a special skill to spend $60,000 in 2 weeks.
Or, it was.
Or not actually spend it.
Yeah, or not spend it and just like be an asshole, frankly.
Yeah. Cool. Miss Maria is coming back again. Do you open your own LLCs, or are you using consultants like CPAs and lawyers to do that?
I actually haven't opened one in a while. If you're here in Ohio, it's like $99. It's super easy to do online. If you're going through an attorney, it's going to be like a couple $100. So, and they'll probably do your operating agreement and like get your EIN for you. So, I would probably just pay the attorney, honestly, but you can do it yourself if you want to save. Yeah.
Sweet. Okay, cool. Let's say you've got a 9-to-5, you have like 15, 20 grand saved, whether that's like in your HELOC or 401k, whatever, and you want to buy a rental in the next 90 days. What should we be doing this week?
Ooh, what should you be doing this week to buy a rental in the next 90 days? 15K. So I'm going to kind of quickly run through what we call boot camp. And this is, it's part of Rentals Made Easy. It is the initial 30 days that we kind of put you through. I would be sourcing deals. I would be, connecting with agents, getting your MLS searches set up, connecting with wholesalers, going on the Facebook groups, all that business. Starting your referral network. We have like a series of posts that we make about like referrals. I would get all my financing set up. So connecting with lenders, we have lenders that we recommend to all of our students, nationwide or here in Ohio. I would be getting my entity set up, my bank accounts, my EIN. We have a whole plan. It's like your first 30 days. And really, if you stick to the plan, you should be what we call offer ready within that 30 days. So you're out there ready to make offers. From there, offer ready, then you're, making tons of offers. That could take a couple weeks to find one that makes sense. You're underwriting deals. You are actually closing on the project and then starting renovations. And you should be in 90 days, like at least halfway through your renovations if you're on top of everything. So, if you want to extend the timeline a little bit more, you get through renovations in say 60 days, you get it rented in another 30, you get it refinanced, and you should be easily through that burr cycle within 6 months. Easily. Our average is typically like 4 months.
Yeah. That's my personal was exactly 4. So
yeah, 4 months. So the 15K, that's actually a great amount of money. If you are working with hard money lenders, because most of them are going to finance 90% of the purchase, 100% of the rehab, and it leaves you with about, we say 10 to 15% out of pocket. Now the idea is at the refi, you're getting a lot of that money back. So, it's a down payment, but it's like upfront, but you're going to get it back. So that would be here in the Midwest. That would be the right amount of money to get into a, say, 150 all in purchase rehab type deal. Good question.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Well, these were great. If you're watching the replay and you have something you want answered, just tag me and I will, I'll get to you. If this is something you're like, hey, Jesse, just hold my hand. Do it for me. I don't want to figure this stuff out. You can book a call with our team. It is myself, Lizzie, or Karen will hop on the phone with you and kind of break down the program, break down exactly how we help people do this. And Lizzie can drop the link in the chat to book that call, and just let us know that you saw us on the, Ask Me Anything, and we'll just make sure we can answer any of your questions and get you all set up. So very cool. And if you're watching on YouTube, that link will be in the show notes, the description.
Sweet. Right. This was a fun one.
Yeah, this is a great one. Thanks, y'all, and we will see you next time.
See ya.